Hello new fly tyers, welcome back to the channel. Having viewed part 1, I hope that you're now ready to try out your hidden fly tying skills using this second video of the 2-part series. Fly tying is ambidextrous, so it doesn't matter whether you're left-handed or right-handed, just turn the vise round. And if you're able, I recommend that you tie your flies by winding the thread bobbing away from you. You should be somewhere that is comfortable and with good light. You should also have in front of you the tools and materials that I mentioned in the part 1 video. Preparation is a key part to fly tying. Have your hare's ear dubbing to hand, a cut length of lead wire about 3 inches long, about 8 centimeters, cut off a length of monofilament about 6 inches long, 15 centimeters, and have those to hand too. We're going to tie a hare's ear nymph, which represents a larva or generally a caddisfly. Here's one that I tied earlier, as they say. I will assume that you have your vise in position and that you have threaded your bobbin holder. Now I want you to take a hook, a size 12 I have here, and I hope you have too, and clamp it into the jaw of the vise. Right, try and get it parallel and avoid the point of the hook protruding over the jaw of the vise. I say this because it should prevent the thread getting caught on the hook point. So here I have my bobbin holder and my bobbin of thread. Now we're going to tie on the thread just behind the eye of the hook. So hold the end of the thread in the hand that does not have the bobbin holder, and under tension, and about 3 mil or 1/8 of an inch behind the hook eye, wind on 2 turns of thread towards the hook eye. 1, 2. And now 5 turns towards the hook bend. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can let go of the bobbin holder and trim up the excess thread with your scissors. Now tie another 6 wraps towards the hook bend. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And let go of the bobbin holder. Take the length of lead wire and, ensuring that you have a tag of around 1 inch at each end, wind it with touching turns around the hook shank, over the thread, towards the eye of the hook, and stopping about 1/8 of an inch or 3 mil from the hook eye. Now, depending upon the thickness of your lead wire, would depend how many wraps that you have. Now I'm going to break that end off. Now thread wraps over the lead wire, backwards and forwards 2 or 3 times. Back to the tag at the front. And then tie at least 2 wraps either side. 1, 2, 1, 2. And holding the thread taut, helicopter off like a rotor, the lead wire like so. Just push it down. Then wind your thread back down to the other tag and do exactly the same. 1, 2, 1, 2. Hold the thread taut and helicopter off the lead wire. Now if you have a tag like that, you might be able to pinch it off and just smooth it down. And now multi-thread wraps over the lead wire to ensure that it's held in place. Like so, and back down to the end of the lead on the hook shank closest to the bend of the hook. Take your hare's ear and take out a pinch of hair's ear between your finger and thumb. Now we're going to use this as a tail. So we're going to tie this in behind the lead wire and tie it down with wraps towards the bend of the hook. Like so. Now it doesn't matter how thick or thin the tail is at this point. We are going through a process and it's not so much about aesthetics. And trim off this excess at the front. Right, we're now going to tie in the length of monofilament. The monofilament should not be more than 1/3 tied in. And you tie that in with thread wraps up to where the lead wire finishes. Once you've done that, trim off the monofilament. And wind the thread back down to just before the bend of the hook. Now take your bobbin holder and pull about 3 or 4 inches of thread off of the bobbin holder. Take some more hare's ear and we're going to create a dubbing rope. Now we do this with small pinches and twisting it around the thread with your finger and thumb. Now it doesn't matter if you drop some, it doesn't matter if you put too much on at this stage because you can always take it off, and it doesn't matter if there's not enough because you can always add more. So make sure that that dubbing rope is nice and tight, and then start winding it over the hook shank in the direction of the hook eye. Now if you need to twist it to keep it tight, then do so. Nice tight turns. If at any stage you don't think that it's quite right, go back and try again. Never be frightened of going back and trying again. Now I will need some more dubbing, so I'm going to put some more onto my thread. Like so, and continue wrapping. Like so, until I get to the front of the lead, and then tie off the hare's ear with 4 wraps. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, now take your monofilament and wind 4 or 5 wraps on in the opposite direction to the direction that you wound on the dubbing. In this case, I'll be winding this wrap towards me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that should be enough. And tie off the monofilament with 4 thread wraps. Like so, and trim off the monofilament. Right, we're now going to build up the head with multi-wraps of the tying thread to create a nice head at the front of the fly, like so. Now to tie off the fly, we're not going to use any complicated method at this stage. You may want to learn whip finishing by hand or with a whip finish tool later on, but at this stage we're going to use 3 half-hitch knots, and that is done by just twisting the thread and putting it over the head of the fly. Twisting the thread and pull it tight each time, and the third one over the top and pull it tight. And you can now trim up the tying thread. Now you should have your needle, and I have mine here and I have it in a cork so I know where it is. So I have my needle and I have my clear nail varnish. Just place the needle into the brush and coat the end with some nail varnish, and then carefully cover the head with the nail varnish, trying not to put any nail varnish into the hook eye. Wipe the end of the needle and just poke it through the eye to make sure that it is clear. Now, having wiped the needle, I want you to pick out in between the monofilament wraps some of the hairs here to make it, I suppose what you could say is scruffy. Like so. And take your finger and thumb and just pull back the hairs here. Pull out as much as you want. And you can do this while the head is drying with the varnish. And there you have your finished fly. Now, if you've followed the guide that I've just given you, this is the first fly, your first fly, complete. Well done. The process of threading the bobbin, mounting the hook in the vise, tying on the thread, tying on the tail and rib, that is the basis for tying many different flies. Now you need to keep practicing until you're confident enough to tie your favourite fly, the one that you turn to, the one that always catches you a fish. The festive holidays are not far away, so start preparing your wish list for your relatives. There are over 100 videos on my channel, some tyings more difficult than others, but you're sure to find some inspiration. Good luck in your future fly tying. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for viewing. Bye.